You wake up and check your phone. Your mind gets hijacked before you even get out of bed. Notifications, emails, social media. Your attention is pulled in 100 different directions.
The biggest risk to your future isn't your competition. It's the distractions you insist on keeping in your life, rather than doing the things you know you should be doing but aren't.
It's constant overstimulation. It's draining your energy, killing your ability to focus, and keeping you in a cycle of feeling busy but never getting anywhere.
33% of people feel too overwhelmed by daily stress to think ahead.
That means 1/3 of people are just reacting to life, never planning, never progressing, just barely keeping up. Let me tell you, your focus is your most valuable asset. If you don't learn how to protect it, you'll spend your whole life distracted.
How you spend this time is going to determine the quality of your life.
If you don't fix this, another day, another week, another year will go by, and you'll still be stuck. But today, you have a choice. In today's video, we're going to break down exactly how information overload is destroying your brain and how you can actually take over control before it's too late. More importantly, I'll show you step by step how to take over control. Take a deep breath, my friend. Find a quiet space, clear your mind, and get ready, because what you're about to learn could change everything. Imagine this, my friend. You wake up, roll over, and the first thing you do, check your phone. 10 notifications, a couple of emails, maybe a headline or two screaming for your attention. Before you've even brushed your teeth, your brain is already sprinting, processing a flood of new information. Then, you scroll through social media while eating breakfast, listen to a podcast on the way to work, skim through emails between meetings, watch YouTube during lunch, and before you know it, it's midnight, and your brain feels like it just ran a marathon.
You are training yourself to become chronically distracted.
You're exhausted, not because you did anything physically draining, but because your brain has been processing an overwhelming amount of information nonstop. And here's the worst part, you don't even remember most of it. You're not learning more, you're just more distracted. Your brain wasn't built for this. It was never designed to take in a lifetime of information every single day. Yet this is exactly what modern life forces us to do. In fact,
We process around 72 gigabytes of information per day, which the research likened to reading Tolkien's The Hobbit every single day.
it's no wonder you feel drained, unfocused, and forgetful. The more we consume, the harder it gets to focus. The more tabs we have open, mentally and physically, the slower we become. We think we're multitasking, but in reality, we're just switching between distractions at lightning speed, never truly absorbing anything. And the worst part, we don't even realize it's happening. You might feel like you're constantly learning because you're consuming so much content, but let's be real, how much of it actually sticks? Think about the last 5 things you read or watched today. Do you remember all of them? Probably not. And if you do, can you actually apply them to your life in any meaningful way? This is the problem with information overload. It creates an illusion of progress while quietly eroding our ability to think deeply, focus on important tasks, and be creative. The solution? We need to start recognizing that more information isn't always better. It's time to stop drowning in a sea of distractions and start taking control of what we consume. And that's exactly what we're going to do next. This community is filled with people committed to growth, and I love that. According to a recent poll I did on my channel, 42% of you kickstart your day with morning workouts, while others find focus in planning, journaling, or meditation. And some of you enjoy a slow, mindful start with coffee or tea. Because balance matters too. There's no one right way. The real win is being intentional. So tell me, what's one habit you'd add to your morning routine to level up? Feel free to share with the community and drop a comment below. Let me know what truly keeps you moving forward. Have you ever sat down to do one simple task only to look up an hour later and realize you've done absolutely nothing? My friend, you were busy. Sure, maybe bouncing between emails, scrolling social media, checking messages, but at the end of the day, you have no real progress to show for it. That's overstimulation in action. It tricks you into feeling productive while actually draining your focus, crushing your creativity, and leaving you mentally exhausted. We live in an era where boredom doesn't exist anymore. The moment we feel even a second of stillness, we grab our phones, refresh our feeds, or search for something new to consume. We're stuck in a cycle of endless input, but without any real output. Your brain wasn't designed for this. Your brain is like a computer. If you have too many tabs open, it slows down. If you keep installing junk software, it crashes. Right now, most of us are living in a constant state of mental lag, distracted, overwhelmed, and struggling to focus. The worst part? It's rewiring your brain.
The body, mind, and character that you will have in the future are being actively shaped by how you choose to use your time today.
Every time you switch tasks, check notifications, or consume shallow content, you reinforce the habit of distraction. You're training your brain to expect interruptions. And over time, this makes deep focus and creative thinking nearly impossible. So why overstimulation kills creativity? Creativity doesn't happen when you're bombarded with inputs. It happens in the quiet spaces between them. Your best ideas come when your brain has time to wander, make connections, and process thoughts without distractions. But if you never allow yourself those moments of mental stillness, if you're always consuming, always reacting, your creative muscles weaken. You become a consumer of ideas rather than a creator of them. Think about the last time you had a truly original thought. Was it while scrolling TikTok? Probably not. It was likely when you were in the shower, on a walk, or lying in bed, those rare moments when your mind was free. We often think that the key to success is working harder, doing more, learning more, consuming more. But here's the truth. It's not about how much you do, it's about how deeply you focus. Your brain is not built for constant engagement. The most productive people in the world don't spend all day grinding.
You should also ask yourself whether or not you're trying to focus too much for too long during the day. I know some very high-performing individuals, very high-performing in a variety of contexts, and none of them are focused all day long.
The most effective people work in bursts. They focus deeply for short periods, then step away to recharge. They understand that real productivity comes from intensity, not duration. And that's exactly what you need to start doing. It's time to stop drowning in distractions and start taking control of your focus. Because the longer you stay overstimulated, the harder it gets to think clearly, work deeply, and create something meaningful. Up next, let's break down exactly how to escape this cycle and rewire your brain for focus, clarity, and creativity. My friend, ever wonder why it's so damn hard to put your phone down? Why you tell yourself just 5 more minutes, only to look up and realize an hour has vanished? It's not an accident. It's not just bad habits. It's your brain getting hijacked by dopamine. We live in an age where everything is engineered for maximum stimulation. Every notification, every swipe, every short-form video is designed to give you a tiny hit of dopamine, your brain's reward chemical. It feels good, so you keep going. But here's the problem. Your brain wasn't built for this. You're stuck in an endless dopamine loop. Think about it. When was the last time you sat in silence without reaching for your phone? If the idea of just sitting makes you uncomfortable, that's a sign. The constant flow of new information rewires your brain to crave more. It's like an addiction, except instead of a substance, it's notifications, news, and endless scrolling. The more you consume, the more you need to feel satisfied. And the result? You feel restless when you're not consuming. Ever notice how you instinctively reach for your phone even when you don't need it? Your brain craves that tiny dopamine boost, and when it's not there, you feel uncomfortable. You can't focus on deep work. You sit down to study or work on something important, and suddenly your brain starts looking for distractions. You tell yourself you'll just check one thing, then 30 minutes disappear. You struggle to retain information. The more you consume, the harder it gets to actually remember anything. Your brain isn't processing deeply anymore. It's just skimming, jumping from one thing to the next. What's worse, over time, these dopamine spikes reduce your ability to enjoy the real world. Suddenly, simple things, reading a book, going for a walk, having a conversation, feel boring. You need constant stimulation just to feel normal.
Don't let yourself get to the age of 90, only to look back on your life and realize that while you were trying to avoid FOMO, you actually missed out on living.
Because that's exactly what's happening. You're drowning in content, but starving for meaning. You're keeping up with everything, but falling behind on the things that actually matter. Here's the scary part. Dopamine isn't just making you consume more, it's making you achieve less. When you flood your brain with instant gratification, your motivation to do the hard stuff, like studying, creating, or working toward long-term goals, plummets. Your brain learns to chase easy rewards over meaningful progress. It's why you can binge watch hours of Netflix, but struggle to sit down and focus for 30 minutes. Your brain has been trained to crave instant hits of pleasure, and real work feels painfully slow in comparison. The first step to escaping this dopamine loop is realizing how deep you're in it. Ask yourself, do you instinctively reach for your phone the moment you feel even a little bored? If yes, that's not just a habit, that's your brain screaming for a dopamine fix. Does deep work feel harder than ever before? If you used to be able to concentrate, but now find it nearly impossible, that's a sign your attention span has taken a hit. Do simple, quiet moments feel unbearable? If you constantly need background noise or stimulation, your brain has forgotten how to just be. If you answered yes to any of these, your brain has been hijacked, and if you don't take control, the cycle only gets worse. But the good news, you can actually reset your brain.
I think stress can make people work harder, but it's the right amount of stress that makes someone work better.
So good. So true.
Right?
That's
There's
so
a
true.
spectrum of stress.
My friend, ever feel like your brain just won't cooperate anymore? Like every time you sit down to work on something meaningful, you either get distracted or feel completely uninspired? That's not just in your head, it's real. And it's happening because your brain is overloaded. We live in a world where we're constantly taking in information, but we never give our brains the space to process it. You wake up, check your phone, and before you've even gotten out of bed, you've consumed more content than someone from 100 years ago did in a week. It doesn't stop there. You move from app to app, video to video, post to post, never stopping, never letting your brain breathe. And the worst part, you keep consuming because it feels productive. But when it's time to actually create something, your mind goes blank. That's the trap. You think you're learning, but you're really just filling your mind with noise.
One of the biggest lies in the universe that seems quite prominent right now is that every experience you have changes your brain.
Not everything you consume is valuable. Not everything you see, hear, or read is shaping you into a better person. In fact, most of it is just making you more distracted. Creativity doesn't happen when your mind is overloaded. It happens in the gaps, in moments of quiet, when your brain actually has time to make connections. Think about the last time you had a truly great idea. It probably didn't come when you were glued to your phone. It probably came when you were taking a shower, because for once, your brain wasn't bombarded with notifications, on a long walk, where your thoughts finally had room to wander, driving without music blasting, allowing ideas to surface naturally, lying in bed, about to fall asleep, when your brain finally slowed down. That's because your brain needs stillness to function at its best. If you never give it space, it never has a chance to put the pieces together. The overload is keeping you stuck. If you constantly feel uninspired, unmotivated, or just mentally drained, this is why. You're drowning in information, but starving for meaning. You feel stuck because your brain is in consumption mode, not creation mode. You feel exhausted because your mind is constantly processing junk information instead of focusing on what matters. You feel unmotivated because you're overstimulated and burnt out before you even start. And worst of all, your creativity is dying because you never give yourself the chance to think deeply.
When it comes to life, sleep is a charger, meditation and mindfulness,
100%.
food is a charger, working out is a charger, and people you love, being around good relationships are a charger.
So, what do? You have to give your brain space. You have to step away from the noise, stop flooding your mind with content, and actually let yourself be bored. Because boredom isn't the enemy, it's the birthplace of creativity. And if you never slow down, you'll never tap into your full potential. My friend, you're not just drowning in information, you're getting lost in it. Every time you pick up your phone, switch tabs, or scroll for just one more minute, your brain is learning that distractions are normal. You don't need another app to fix this or another productivity hack. You need to take back control. This isn't about quitting everything overnight. It's about small, intentional shifts that free your mind, sharpen your focus, and help you actually get things done. I used to think I had to change everything at once to see progress, but every time I tried, I'd burn out before I even got started. What actually worked? Small shifts, like putting my phone in another room while I worked, or setting a 2-minute rule for tasks I kept avoiding. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one small change you're committing to today? Something simple, something real. Write it down in the comments. I'll be reading your thoughts. Let's break it down. Step 1, turn down the noise before it takes over your brain. Right now your attention is scattered. Notifications, news feeds, mindless scrolling, it's all stealing your focus. And the worst part, you don't even realize it's happening. Every time you switch between apps, glance at your notifications, or check just one more video, your brain is learning to crave constant stimulation. This is why sitting down to focus feels impossible.
Attention is the most valuable resource in the 21st century, but our attention is dragged in so many different directions.
So let's fix that. Start by eliminating the unnecessary. Turn off all non-essential notifications, news alerts, group chats, random app updates. Unfollow content that doesn't add real value to your life. If it doesn't educate, inspire, or entertain you in a meaningful way, it's noise. Limit passive consumption. Instead of scrolling aimlessly, replace it with intentional learning. Podcasts, books, deep dives into topics that actually benefit you. Don't overcomplicate this. Your attention is your power. Protect it. Step 2, train your focus like a muscle, one task at a time. Focus isn't something you just have, it's something you train. Right now, your brain is used to distractions. That's why sitting down for deep work feels painful. But the more you practice, the easier it gets.
For me, has been a huge drive for my work ethic. I'll give it 100% or I'll give it nothing.
That's the mindset shift. Here's how you start training your focus. Create distraction-free work blocks. Set a timer for 30 to 45 minutes of focused work, followed by a break. No phone, no notifications, no multitasking. Kill multitasking. It's a myth. Your brain can't truly focus on more than one thing at a time. If you want deep focus, commit to one task before moving to the next. Make your environment work for you. Clear your workspace. If your phone is a distraction, put it in another room. This won't feel easy at first, but the more you practice, the stronger your focus becomes. It's like a muscle. You just have to train it. Step 3, break free from the dopamine trap and take back control. Your brain is addicted to instant gratification. Every scroll, every notification, every quick check triggers a dopamine hit, and that's why deep work feels boring. It's not giving you the instant rewards your brain craves.
But thinking won't change your life. The only way you're going to change your life or change your career or change your health is to take action.
The only way to break the cycle, reset your brain, take a 24-hour break from all overstimulating content. No social media, no binge scrolling, just a full day of intentional, real-world activities. Replace shallow dopamine hits with real rewards. Instead of chasing likes and views, focus on reading, walking, journaling, activities that actually help you grow. Notice how restless you feel. That's proof your brain is dependent on constant stimulation. But the longer you stay off, the easier it gets. This isn't about quitting forever. It's about retraining your brain to find fulfillment in deeper, more meaningful activities. Step 4, give your brain the breathing room it desperately needs. Your best ideas don't come when you're overloaded. They come when your brain has room to breathe.
I think we hear the word rest, and then sometimes we feel guilty. We shouldn't, but we feel guilty, like, oh, I don't have time to rest.
Yeah.
But when you think of it about recharging, you're reframing it and going, oh, I do need to recharge, because otherwise, how am I going to give my best tomorrow?
100%.
This is why boredom is essential for creativity. If you never let your mind wander, you'll never unlock your best thoughts. Here's how you create white space. Take tech-free walks, no music, no podcasts, just let your thoughts flow. Schedule quiet time before bed, no screens, just silence, reflection, or a book. Give your brain time to process. Instead of stuffing more content into your mind, let it make connections on its own. Stillness isn't wasted time, it's where breakthroughs happen. Step 5, make these tiny changes now and watch your mind transform. Your brain isn't just overwhelmed today, it's being shaped for the person you'll be in the future. And every small choice you make now will determine the kind of mind you build.
Just ask yourself, when during the day do you typically tend to be most alert? That will afford you an advantage in learning specific things during that period of time. So don't give up that period of time for things that are meaningless, useless, or not aligned with your goals.
This isn't about a one-time detox, it's about long-term change. Morning rule, no phone for the first hour. Start your day with real-world activities. Evening rule, no screens before bed. Let your mind slow down before sleep. Daily habit, 30 minutes of deep work or active learning without distractions. Small changes, done consistently, will rewire your brain for focus, clarity, and creativity. Most people won't do this. They'll keep drowning in distractions, telling themselves they'll start tomorrow. But you have a choice. Do you want to keep feeling mentally drained, overwhelmed, and stuck? Or do you want to take back control of your mind, your focus, and your creativity? Because, my friend, thinking about it won't change your life. Taking action will. Imagine you look back at this moment right now and realize this was the turning point. Not because of some huge overnight change, but because you finally took control. So here's what I want you to do. Pick one thing from this video, just one. Maybe it's turning off notifications. Maybe it's setting up a deep work block. Maybe it's taking that first 24-hour dopamine detox. Whatever it is, commit to it and do it today. And if you're serious about rewiring your brain, the next video will take you even deeper. But for now, don't overthink it. Take action, keep pushing, make it happen.